support of China in this case. I mean, even right now, we can see that there's actually pretty comparable accuracies on the sides of China and Canada. Ansimer basically matching QX0407's accuracy, and Dot pretty close to Satori's.
Do we know whose pick this warm-up was?
Off the top of my head, I actually do not. I didn't see the chat before this match started, so I will let you know when I get that information.
All right. I must say, the double time Power Ranger pick is a very powerful move as a warm-up.
Nice pun. We support those here in the Mania World Cup. But something interesting to note actually is that China just now recently took the lead on this warm-up, which is something pretty unexpected, I'd say. Although I think I'm having client issues right now, but
the fact is that the teams are pretty close score-wise.
Yeah, and I think that this warm-up might actually, actually give an idea of what might happen during the match. So, like I said, it's hard to give full support to one team over another in this case.
No, I do notice they're not currently playing Zhangfan, I believe it's pronounced, who is one of their top players and the team leader, so they might be letting the subs warm up for this one. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, that's also possible. So, looks like we have our second warm-up lined up, and from the chat, it looks like this was China's choice.
I don't believe I've ever heard this song before.
I have heard this song at somewhere. I don't particularly remember where, but I've definitely heard it before. I can only imagine what kind of map is going to accompany this song.
Definitely not a song that you forget very quickly.
But we should be getting into this warm-up as soon as the players are ready, which is hopefully soon. And here we go. That's a good background right there.
You got that right.
Oh, seen some SVs accompanying.
Oh, you know what? This is a remix of. I have heard the original. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've heard.
I'm not gonna try to say it out loud because it's occurred to me I have no idea how to say it. But.
Well, yeah, but this version is one that I've actually heard this version, like this remix or whatever you'd like to call it. Yeah, but these are some pretty nice SVs to go along with this wonderful song right here. Like I said, I'm still not fully sure of whose warm-up this was, but from the chat it looked like this was China's. And it seems that they're performing pretty well on it. Ansem are not knowing the map or the song, perhaps, so not doing so well. So yeah, I definitely assume this is China's. Alright, and with that second warm-up out of the way, we will now be getting into the roles and bans of the teams. The winner of the role will get second ban and first pick, and the loser of the role will have to ban first. Dot rolls 8, 49 for Canada. 50-50 shot, basically, for China to win this role. And Satori rolls a 68, meaning China does win that roll, and Canada will have to ban first. We'll get to see what they do, and they go straight for banning Gum, the SV pick of the pool, which is not unexpected, I don't think, out of any of these teams. I wouldn't be surprised if Gum got almost 100% ban rate overall. And China goes with Phantasmagoria, the map with the brutal slow jam from the start. I think that's what people usually look at that map for. So again, not an unexpected ban from either of these teams. And China starts with Spaceman, the quote-unquote stamina pick of the pool. Pretty speedy, cord heavy, jack heavy, to some extent at least. Definitely one of the most stamina draining charts we've seen in either of the pools so far. But yeah, now that the first pick has come up, we should be getting into this first map, and we'll get to see exactly how close these two teams are in maps of the difficulty around round of 16. Now, given that this is China's pick, I would pretty much expect them to have some amount of upper hand for the majority of this chart, but like I said, anything could happen. And starting off right away, two players holding on really strong with these opening jacks, but some 200s are being dropped, and Antimer had some major drops right at the start, which is giving China a very small lead coming out of these jacks.
Hello again.
Welcome back. We're just getting into our first pick of this match, which is Spaceman.
Oh yeah, this is a fun one. But, well, fun to watch at least. Judging by Antimer's accuracy already off the bat, he might be seeing some troubles here.
Yeah, he had a bit of issues in the opening jacks and might be having some issues with some of these patterns otherwise. But everyone else in the room has roughly similar accuracy. Actually, I think if Antimer was holding around the 99.2, Canada might be leading right now. Just because Dot is a full 0.1% higher than than Satori, the higher of the two Chinese players right now.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean, we still...
Oh, sorry.
We've yet to get to the hardest part of the map, as I was going to say. But you were saying?
Antimer is actually building up his accuracy, coming above the 99 range he has an opportunity to catch up to the other two Chinese players. And the difference between these two teams is not a lot. One drop from the Chinese team could switch that lead right over to the Canadians.
Oh, for sure. When everyone's pulling a full combo like this, no one wants to be the first person to... Oh, and we just got past the... There's a huge spike in the middle of the map, and still no drops.
But there was an accuracy drop on Ansemer's side, so definitely not going to help Canada's case. And there's a drop, actually, too, from Dot, which is going to be
no.
bad.
It looks like Dot's accuracy is falling now below both of the Chinese players, and the lead is definitely taking... China is definitely taking the lead.
Seems to be possibly some density issues, or some just stamina issues in general on Dot's side, not being able to hold on for long enough to keep the combo and the accuracy as high as it needs to be to give Canada a chance.
But whatever the case, as the map winds down, it looks like the map's going to China.
Yes, it does. Not much else can happen, that would give Canada the lead back. But that was China's pick, so it's almost expected for them to perform well on it and to get the point, especially with how strong their team is in general. So Canada's just got to fire back with something that they think they can trip up China on, and hopefully take a point off of just a monstrous team.
Let's see what Canada picks next. Toofster, if you were Canada right now, what would you pick to get the best chance at taking a point off of them?
See, well, the thing is in this case, usually when you're up against a strong team like this, one of the best moves you can go with is just going with an SV chart. Either that or just a straight up accuracy chart. One of those two gives you the best chance of taking points from higher ranked or just overall more skilled teams. Just usually because SVs are something that a lot of teams don't practice or are extremely variable in how well people are able to do on them. And then accuracy charts, this is something I kind of went over last week, but as the difficulty of charts lowers and lowers, the skill gap between good, players of clearly different skill calibers starts to decrease.
And looks like you're right on the money there, because they've picked Origami. I'd say maybe one of the simpler maps in the pool, definitely a test of accuracy above anything else.
Yeah, this map, and then also one other 357 Magnum seems to be the easiest charts in the pool, just to get good accuracy on in general. So I think I could expect Canada also go with that even if they kind of mess this pick up. I think their next best would be 357 Magnum, assuming they want to go this route.
Agreed.
Though interesting start from the Chinese team. Both players getting 200 in the opening slow jam. Although Ansemer having huge problems in this transition, but so is Satchery, which is very interesting to me. Accuracy definitely favoring Canada at the moment.
Yeah, interesting. Satchery just managed to pull himself back up over the 98% mark. Not an auspicious start for China this round.
Yeah, now the accuracies of Satchery and Ansemer are quite comparable, although Ansemer does continue to drop 200s and his overall accuracy. But Dot's accuracy is insane right now, almost making up the difference right now.
Yeah, and as we reach the halfway point in the map, the score is flickering between the teams. I think Canada still has a chance to win this one.
For sure, and coming out of this transition, we'll be going into the chorus. Actually, ooh, but Ansimer dropping on that transition into the chorus, giving China a very, very small lead at the moment, but any accuracy drops on the opposing side could just give it to Canada, and as I said, Sattere dropping accuracy as well does give the lead to Canada. But it's so close right now, it's hard to say how this is going to go, even though we're so close to the end.
Yeah, when you have teams this good duking out on a map like this, you're watching every single judgment. The single 200 can flip the balance.
But it looks like China does take that point just barely right at the end by 5,000 points.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping to see Canada take their own pick here, but they're gonna have more chances as the map goes along. I believe round of 16 we're doing best of 9.
Yes, best of 9.
So China still needs 3 more maps if they want to take this round and knock Canada down to the losers bracket.
And China immediately responds with a full moon night. Interesting pick. I think this is a safe pick overall. Just based on the fact that their first pick was Spaceman, which is a pretty stamina-heavy chart in general. And I think it's fair to say that a full moon night is at least mentally stamina draining, regardless of whether it's actually physically taxing to play. And physically stamina draining is kind of not too important, I don't think, in this case. I think they're just trying to take advantage of the length and consistency that Canada showed a bit of weakness on in their first pick.
To be fair, it is the longest pick in the pool besides the tiebreaker. And we did see Dot drop a lot at the end of the previous long map we saw, so maybe China's picking up on that.
Yeah, basically kind of similar to what I said, but this one definitely has more of a focus on long notes. Maybe China sort of trying to gauge an idea of the overall long note skill of Canada, which I don't recall being that great when they were playing in group stage, but they sort of tended to avoid it. Canada did anyways. So I think this might just be a jab at them trying to avoid long notes and taking advantage of a possible weakness of their team.
Yeah, I'm guessing the teams are still feeling each other out. But looks like we are getting started with a full moon night. I almost called it the full moon, and that's not what it's called.
I'm sure people would have still understood you. Though, I think there's something interesting to note is, I was kind of reminded of this, but round of 16 and quarterfinals, well, not so much quarterfinals, but round of 16 especially can be one of the most nerve-wracking rounds in tournament play, and we've kind of been talking about this kind of stuff throughout the match, but there's a certain amount of knowledge that you don't have about your opponent especially when you're going into round of 16, because there's a difficulty jump in the charts, but then you also don't get any information about how they do as the difficulty increases. So round of 16 can be a really awkward time to be playing matches, because it's the time where you know the least about your opponent. So feeling other teams out is a really important thing to be good at least for these earlier rounds.
It's a fair assessment, I'd say. Especially considering that this year it looks like the map pools are getting harder, which is the general trend, but of course they're harder than they've ever been, so we have even more of a jump this year. But while we were talking, it seems like we've had 2 drops coming from both players on the Canada team. Ooh, and another one coming out now, not looking good for them.
Yeah, not a solid start, whereas the 2 Chinese players matching each other's accuracy for the most part, though Sattere did just drop, although both of them are starting to drop. Though, on the other side, Dot and Ansimer continue to drop combo on these long notes. Seems they're avoiding long notes for a good reason.
And It's unfortunate that the bans had to go out on. What were the bans we had? Gum was banned.
Gum was banned, and then Phasmagoria.
Right, as expected, I suppose, because those are kind of the meme maps of this pool, you could say. But that means that they also couldn't spend their bans on the long node maps.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting, strategy behind doing stuff like this, or like using bans on stuff like that. Phantasmagoria is a bit awkward because a lot of teams are going to be forced to ban it just based on the fact that they can't read slow jam that slow, and also the patterns are really awkward, and if you can't handle them,
they're so bad.
You're not gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
But when it comes to SV maps, usually teams are capable of playing them. They just don't want to practice them. So it's really just a choice on the part of the team of whether they want to, take that risk of not practicing and assuming that the other team also didn't practice it, or just banning it outright instead of, practicing it and making sure that they don't have to waste a ban.
Right. So it looks like we're getting into the infamous part of Full Moon with the trills and the jacks. It looks like QX and Dot are not having a great time on this. QX's accuracy falling down below 99%, but China still holds the lead as we go into the last part of the map.
Yeah, it seemed QX was actually having huge problems with rushing the LN trills, which is something that I noted during the showcase, that if you mess up the timing on any one of the LN trills, you're gonna start getting 200s or misses for the entire row of LNs.
Yeah, trills is a very, very tricky pattern for sure. China holding on to about a 50,000 point lead as we finish out the map. Looks like this one's going to China as well.
Yeah, despite Dot's extremely stellar accuracy, all the combo breaks he has was not helping Canada, and Sattery actually holding better accuracy and a full combo, I think, just helping carry China to the victory on this map. Oh, I'm
it
sorry.
Looks like we have a drop coming in right at the end.
I'm sorry for cursing.
Man, usually I'm not a superstitious person, but when things like that happen, you gotta wonder.
See, I have made myself known for being good at this. But yeah, with that, China does take their third point. I don't think this was unexpected, given the results of their first pick, and also the fact that Canada didn't seem particularly comfortable on LNs throughout the entirety of group stage. But going into this next pick, it is Canada's choice, and I'd have to guess they're going to go with 357 Magnum. That would be my full guess, given their first choice in the picking in their first pick, and then also that they actually were really close to taking that point.
I have to agree with you there. But their pick should be coming at any second now. Looks like we've got a little complaining about score B2 in the chat. I mean, personally, as a player that's not a 7K player that's not very strong on long notes, I have to sympathize with Antheimer there. It's a very different experience when you start on score B2, and the long notes are suddenly that much harder.
Yeah, but interesting choice. Snowflakes comes out from Canada. That's weird to me, I think. I mean, this has some slow jams, which can be complicated to hit. Maybe Canada sort of looking at the Phantasmagoria ban from China and just hoping that they're not particularly solid on slow jams. But
yeah, that's interesting.
What's weird about this is that this is kind of a map that focuses on just normal streaming, but around LNs. And it seems that Ansimer wasn't particularly comfortable with, or at least wasn't particularly consistent with keeping LNs held down. So that's kind of an interesting choice to go with over something like Magnum. That would be a really simple map, I think, and is likely the closest to Origami that's in the pool. At least in terms of just, it's a straight accuracy map.
I think one thing worth pointing out is that while it also has long notes, it's also focused on the single notes. It's because it gets dense. It's one of the denser maps in the pool. So I'm thinking maybe Canada feels a little more comfortable on this, on like the speed side of things as well as accuracy, as long as there's not too many long notes. I'm just throwing ideas out there. I'm really honestly kind of mystified with myself.
Yeah, although Ansimer dropping on this beginning slow jam already, or not dropping combo, but dropping a bunch of 200s. Actually continuing to drop 200s. Ansimer doesn't seem particularly happy with, or at least, you know, consistent with the slow jams, isn't really comfortable with reading slow jam, I guess. But
well,
like
we're getting into those. Yeah, we're getting into those long note streams that we were talking about, or to be more specific, long notes with streams. And it looks like everyone is holding very strong, except a couple of 200s coming from Ansimer, giving China the lead currently.
Yeah, I think that's actually a bit more than a couple of 200s. He's actually dropped down to around 97.5, which is almost a full 2% below everyone else in the room. And with that drop, that is not going to help Canada's case.
Yeah, and it's not a very long map, is it? So, I mean,
Yeah,
if
we're
the first
already
half of the map
halfway
goes like
done.
this, well, Canada still has a chance, but Ansimer's accuracy is improving. Maybe just had a rough start, but it looks like it's climbing slowly but surely. Might not be enough to take the point back, though.
Yeah, once we got out of the long notes with the streams around them, he started improving his accuracy, though. We're getting back into them, so he might end up dropping more 200s in this upcoming section. But overall, this is a pretty similar story to Origami, just the two teams aren't as close as they were in Origami, where Dot is holding extremely strong accuracy, better than both of the Chinese players. It's just Ansimer's kind of dragging him.
Yeah, and, well, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, China
currently, 4-0 to Canada.
And China's pick. This is a very strong position for China to be in. They get their choice of what map they want to play, and if they win it, the match is over.
Unfortunately, that's just how a lot of round of 16 matches end up, because it's still early in the tournament. You've still got a lot of very high seed players facing off against low seed players.
I like this pick.
Yeah, and
China goes with "Is This Love?" SV time.
Ooh, well, at least we can close off with something interesting to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, interesting. I don't think this is as surprising as I'm kind of making it out to be. Just mostly given that Canada did ban the SV map of the pool.
Right.
China actually switching in Wilbin-Chan too, which is Wilbin is likely better at SVs, or was willing to put in the practice for the chart in place of some of the other Chinese players who just wanted to put practice on the regular picks in the round of 16 pool. So we'll definitely get to see.
I think that's a smart strategy.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to see.
Yeah, having someone assigning them to the SV map, I guess you could say. Then you can focus on their individual maps, and because you can substitute players in as much as you want in this year's World Cup, so might as well take use of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of something similar to something I heard a Forky team doing during the last World Cup. I think Chile, when I was talking to their team captain, Walter Toro, he was talking about how, like, the previous year, they had a bunch of players who just didn't want to practice the SV charts, but this year they actually they would play through the SV chart once and then assign specific players to practice the charts and get better at them, so that they weren't weak on that, which is an interesting strategy, I think. Just assigning players to SV maps so everyone else can focus on other things instead of worrying about their performance on a chart that they need to put in a lot of practice for.
And I guess we'll be seeing whether our Canadian and Chinese players did put in the practice for this one. And well, for those people who don't know, she is this love is one of the SV picks of the pool, meaning speed velocity changes. It's difficult to read for the first time through, and I mean I say the first time through, but it's always going to be difficult to read. But yeah, the SVs are right near the beginning, so we'll be seeing them real soon.
Now, picking SV charts can always be a risk as well. Even if you're super confident on them, there's always the possibility that the other team put in more practice than you, or is just in general better at this kind of stuff and more comfortable with the SVs. Although already off the bat, it doesn't look like Ansemer put in a lot of practice or particularly knows this chart that well.
Ooh, yeah, he's getting drop after drop while the other players maintain their full combos. Not looking good for Ansemer.
Already dropping below the 93% range. Within the first half of the chart, there's already almost 80,000 points of difference between the two teams, all off of Ansemer's deficit from the other three players. So, interesting note, Satori holding above 99.3% right now. Absolutely
That's crazy.
insane accuracy on an SV chart like this. The next highest being Dot, who is also now holding above 99%, but just not quite to the level of Satori.
I mean, I've got to give Ansemer credit where it's due. When you're facing off against a team like China, where you had, not much of a chance to begin with, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure to deal with.
And the last major bit of SV has been finished. Besides that, but
okay. Yeah, that might have been a little bit of a curse coming back there.
It's all part of the plan, man. You gotta know when the tricky stuff is coming, so you can just say people aren't breaking. Once that happens, everyone breaks.
Little did you know, that SV didn't exist before you said that the SVs are over. It immediately materialized because of the commentator's curse.
Exactly. What else would have happened?
Joking aside, China does take this match against Canada 5-0, and they are moving on to the quarterfinals, while Canada is knocked down to the losers bracket.
Yeah, so neither of these teams are actually knocked out of the tournament quite yet. China, of course, moving on in the winners bracket, like you said, but Canada still has another chance at life. We'll be facing another team in the losers bracket. I'm not actually sure which team, what match determines who Canada faces, but they are still alive in the tournament, so no worries there.
I'm trying to find out now, but it looks like China, at least, in the quarterfinals, is facing either France or Philippines, depending on who wins theirs. And Canada is going...
That means that Canada will be facing one of those two teams as well, but I could be wrong about that.
Yes, I do believe that's true. So Canada faces the losing team of France v Philippines, and China faces the winning team.
Yep, and now that match is over, we will be preparing for one more match that is happening right now. I think we actually have a few matches going on in this block. The next one, oh, no, I'm sorry, I was wrong about that. It is just this match and the one coming up, which will be United States versus Australia, happening in about 18-ish minutes. So we will be staying on stream to answer your questions, and if you have any questions, of course.
That's interesting. We'll have two top seed matches back-to-back. US being seeded 7th, of course. Not quite China's 2nd seed, but still a very strong team.
Yeah, but on that note, now that round of 16 has started, profile banners for the Mania 7-Key World Cup are now on sale. If you would like to support your team and the tournament, go ahead and buy one of those banners for whatever team you would like to win. And if the team you bought a banner for wins, you will get to keep that banner on your profile for a little bit longer after the tournament ends.
I gotta say, they are very nice looking. Looks like we have a question here. Favorite lightsaber color? You got something to say on that?
I'm not a fan of Star Wars, so I mean, I guess I could still say what my favorite lightsaber color would be, I guess, which I guess would be blue, but whatever. I guess my opinion isn't particularly important on that debate.
Yeah, unfortunately, not a Star Wars fan here either. Sorry about that. Could we have some maybe non-Star Wars related questions?
Yeah, we'd prefer questions related to, you know, Osmania, the tournament, you know, this game in general, so. But some off-topic questions are okay, just keep it a bit on the down low.
How are the upcoming teams seeded we have? If you're talking about US versus Australia, USA is 7th seed, putting them at the bottom of the top seed, and Australia is seed 15.
Yeah, so this is going to be a top seed versus, or a high seed versus a mid seed, essentially.
Right. You have any opinions on Star Trek?
I also am not a fan of Star Trek, so
Unfortunate.
I can't say much about that again.
Yeah, there's some talking in the Twitch chat about 4K versus 7K in the US. It is sort of interesting the divide between 4K and 7K as far as countries go, because there's a lot of 7K rhythm games in the East, and there's a lot of 4K rhythm games in the West. So yeah, USA is usually very strong in the 4K bracket, but not to say that they're bad in 7K.
Yeah, I think there's just this, I guess when it comes to the United States, I mean, this year they would have been a bit stronger than they are, but one of their key team members actually was unable to participate. So, I mean, the United States is still ridiculously strong, but they continue to be weakened by certain things sometimes. But they also seem to have fewer players in general, which can contribute to their team being noticeably weaker, perhaps,
Definitely.
than the 4P team. I cannot really answer what seed we would have, the United States would have been had that player been able to participate. It would have been slightly higher. I can't really estimate since I'm not super knowledgeable about 7P. But yeah, there's an answer for you from Ayla about 4th or 5th. I don't think the US would.
I mean, it's worth saying that the United States was in the top 4 seeds in 2016, top 8 seeds in 2017, so, you know, historically pretty strong.
And there's actually a question in chat regarding what you think about the switch from 3 versus 3 and 2 versus 3, or and 2 versus 2, or just like sort of you know, what is your opinion on the fact that the tournament changed to 2v2 as opposed to what it used to be, which was 3 versus 3?
Well, the main reason that the organizers decided to do 2v2 this year was because we were expecting a lower turnout. But as it turns out, actually, our registration numbers was about the same as last year, and we actually have way more teams. So that's one of the side effects. Being 2v2, that enables a lot of teams that only have, say, 2 eligible players that are interested, they can join. So, this year we've got Italy in the top seed with their top 2 crazy players. We have, I think, Chile maybe only has 2 players. But I definitely like that we have more variety. We have more Western teams in the top seed. That's all very good.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's pretty interesting to have the 2v2, just not only to, have more teams, but having more teams inevitably leads to more interesting interactions, and it also allows teams that would have been otherwise weaker to put up fights against teams that they would have otherwise, not been able to perform against. Like Canada versus Brazil. If this was a 3v3 tournament, I don't know if Canada would have been able to bring Brazil to the tiebreaker in that case.
The unfortunate truth about 7K is that it's not nearly as popular as 4K, and I'm just going to go out and say that. But, that means that we can root on our 1 or 2 top players from our countries, and we have an interesting World Cup, so there we go. We have a question about the map pools. How do we choose the maps that they play? The map pickers for this tournament, I'll go ahead and name them, are Spoon Guy, A-Tor, or is it I-Tor?
Either way,
and we have Blanco. Every week, they are picking maps by dividing them into categories, because we want to test every possible skill set in 7K. So we have a certain amount of maps for long note picks, we have a certain amount for density picks, like accuracy picks, and of course, the infamous SV picks, which are always present in every round.
Yeah, so it just boils down to those 3 people, choosing specific maps to make the pools as balanced, as fair, and surrounding the proper difficulty as possible.
Canada versus China, who won? It was China with 5-0. The next round is in 9 minutes. Time flies. If anyone in the chat has a few more questions before we jump into US versus Australia, we're still here for you. Here's another question about seeding. Why is Japan not top tier at this? Actually a good question, because historically Japan is pretty strong. Do you have something to say on that?
There is a bit of something to say about Japan, and that's that their best multi-mode key player, or just 7 key in general, key mode or player, is one of 2 people, and I believe those are Intelizer and Snowwind, who are ranked number 1 and 2 of the country, but I do not believe either one of them signed up for MWC 7K this year, which really weakens the overall performance that the team can put out, which I think is one of the reasons that that Japan wasn't seeded as high as they maybe would have been with Intelizer and Snowwind.
Pretty good analysis of the situation. Toaster, what's your favorite mode?
So I'm inclined to say Mania, just because I play Mania and I'm good at it, but I really do love Standard as well. I've been playing that a lot recently. Anytime that I get upset at Mania or just,
Yeah,
Anytime I try too hard and get mad at the game, I just switch to standard, just to distract myself.
Me personally, 7K will always be my rhythm gaming love, just because, you know, that's my roots, where I come from. But I've also played a lot of Taiko, and I like to, you know, investigate other key modes. I was a big 5K fan back in the day. And by back in the day, I mean like a year ago.
Yeah, I think most people will, when asked the question of what mode is their favorite, it'll be the one they play. And since, you know, both of us main Mania, it's pretty much expected for us to, you know, say that Mania is our favorite game mode. One more question coming in. How did we get into Mania? Or further, had we experienced Mania beforehand, or did we start on Oceania just from scratch? So how did you get into this game mode?
This is a fun question because people on Osu come from all sorts of rhythm games. Me, I came from a rhythm game called Feel the Beat. Feel the Beaters out there, shout outs. But yeah, it's an old Flash game. It got shut down a while ago. So everyone migrated to Osu, and that's where we are now. How about you?
In my case, I actually started with a bunch of other games. Like, when I was a kid, I played a lot of Dance Dance Revolution, which kind of started it all. I then moved to Guitar Hero, at which point I was very uncomfortable with only using one hand. And eventually I moved to Flash Revolution, which is essentially 4-key Oceania just in a browser with a flash. And then one of my classmates told me about this game, and I tried it out and stayed. So yeah, that's our stories of how we got into Mania and rhythm games in general. So someone asked DJ Max Mania. I've never played DJ Max, so I have to say Oceania.
DJ Max is an interesting series, but you know, it's kind of a more commercial game. Osu, really, the main draw of Osu is that it's all community based. So you know, we got community maps, community tournaments, all of that. You know, so it's different strokes for different folks, I'd say.
Yeah, but we should now that we are getting close to the start time of the match, we should be switching to the room since we have everyone in there at the moment. And we have our first warm-up up as well. But, yeah, okay. So, Full Meme Night is the warm-up.
Oh, no.
The United States' warm-up. And I've been listening to this song as it's been in the client, and I don't know what to expect from this map.
I mean, the map defies expectation. Yeah, I was watching one of the US players play this the other day, actually, and it'll be interesting.
I'm sure it will be. Warm-ups are always a good time to get your memes out and just have a little bit of fun with the maps before you have to get really serious with the matches. Honestly, sometimes seeing the maps that are used in warm-ups can be one of my favorite parts of a match. Like, I World Cup, the standard one, and even though I'm not, you know, even though I don't main OS or standard, I still found enjoyment through not the matches, but especially through the warm-ups that some teams would choose. So it always just brings that interest factor to some of the game modes.
Is this Australia's pick? I believe this is the United States warm-up pick.
Yes, it is. This is the United States warm-up.
The original Full Moon Night was mapped by a United States mapper, after all, Jinjin. I'm
Was
not
that
sure.
Jinjin?
Well, the one that's in this World Cup is by Jinjin.
Well, yeah, that one is by Jinjin, but
but not the original?
one everyone knows of, the 7 key chord spam. I don't know if that was or wasn't the original, but it's the one everyone knows. I'm not sure who mapped that one.
I see. I could have played Full Moon Night by now. Looks like our players might be getting impatient, but we'll be starting real soon. I think one of the players is downloading the map. Oh jeez.
DJ Underjoy versus his recorder. This is some top-notch music. Alright,
here we go. We're getting started.
To it. OMG, 70 keys per second.
Amazing.
But here we go. First warm-up of the match. Full meme night. Full of all your favorite Osumania memes. Starting with Acromat. I don't know this song.
Oh, this one's very familiar. I should know this. It's okay. It's already
Enigma. Here we go. The goal is to name all of them, all of
Happy
the
End.
songs that come
I know this
up.
one.
No, that's Ascension to Heaven. Get it right.
Ah, crap. They're both, piano-y maps.
What is this? Sunny Side Street or
it's
something?
one of the BMS maps. But yeah.
Oh, I don't know this one.
Do a remix.
Ah, yes, my favorite. End
Time! Good memories of this map. I guess it's worth mentioning that Australia is in the lead. Not sure if it means anything for this particular map, but...
Yeah, this map is a bit harder than what we're going to see in the pool, so this is just kind of having a little bit of fun. Yeah, I'm starting to get to the point where I just don't know these songs.
Twitch chat is coming through with the map names. Also, they're a bit behind, but...
That's when I know it's Eternal Drain.
Yeah, I suppose I'm not very meme literate when it comes to 7K maps, but that's just me. Now look at these crazy. Oh,
I know this one, but I don't know.
It's by Antozer. I don't. The name is Japanese, so I can't get off the top of my head. But
yeah,
something about a girl.
Definitely recognize the song though.
Yeah, this is a classic. Not this map. This is the song.
Another one I should know, but I just don't.
Oh, it's another Japanese name. And these patterns are actually... Wait, is this the actual experts? Whatever.
All songs that I recognize, I just don't know the names of them. Ah, what's this one called? Furiosa Melodia?
Yes! Oh my... I mapped this song! And I forgot what it's called. And mania. Over and over, just the jack part.
The best part of the map.
This might be a meme, but I gotta say, it's a pretty good way of hyping us up for the match.
Ah, here we go.
Here we go.
What's this one called again?
I believe it's Full Meme Night!
By a DJ Underjoy versus his recorder. I should know this one too.
Yeah.
This one's a blank.
If you had asked me a year ago, back when I was like a ranked player, I would have all these down. Oh, this
Intersex Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
I think that was intersect counterpull. Limit does not exist now. Everyone. Oh, more recorder. Here we go. This is what I want to hear.
We're breaking the limit. You know, shoutouts to Stupid Man for holding 96 accuracy on this insane map.
Oh, did both of them? Wait, what just happened?
Looks like a couple of fails coming out, possibly. Not really surprised.
I think Tegom definitely failed. I don't know about Stupid Man, though.
I think this is the map that you choose for warm-up when you don't know what map you want to play, so you decide to play all of them.
Alright, so now that that warm-up's over, we've got the Australian warm-up coming in. Oh. Okay. This is gonna be fun.
Warm-up is Win God Girl by Dinatori. You know this map?
If it's the difficulty I'm thinking of, yes. Because there was a difficulty of this used in last year's World Cup in the finals map pool.
Right.
This is a 5-minute song, I'm pretty sure. And it was completely chord stream and stamina based. I'm so sorry if this is that difficulty.
So, wow. Interesting move by Australia.
It does have the same background too, so I'm a bit
and we
worried.
got a flashlight play coming out as well.
Flashlight's always fun to see, but something interesting to note about it is that it can actually help a lot of players.
Oh, of course.
Because, especially when things get really dense, because it just puts less stuff on the screen, so you don't have to think about everything that is scrolling down towards the receptors. Okay, it's not the difficulty used last year in the finals map pool. It's a slightly easier difficulty of it.
But I was gonna say not too much easier because we've got players down at the 91%, 89%. Superman and Sanjisuki still holding pretty strong though.
Yeah, this one's definitely easier in terms of physical strain and stamina. Easier overall, I don't know if I'd completely make that argument, but...
There has a lot of long notes.
Neither team faring too well on these. The Stupid Man and Sankansuki able to hold on to the LMs pretty well in comparison to the other two players. Funny to note is that Stupid Man's accuracy is somewhat comparable to Sankansuki's, and then Tegom's is very comparable to Avios's. So, just some interesting facts to note about the scores being shown by these players.
Well, I gotta say, if I was in this match right now, I would not be trying my best on this map. I'd be conserving my stamina for the actual maps that come after this. So, you know, Tegom at 85%, maybe he's happy down there. Maybe that's good.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw one or two of these players just stop playing in the middle of it, just so that they're not tiring themselves out too much, so that they can, you know, accuracy the maps a bit better than they normally would have if they were, if their fingers were destroyed from a map like this.
Oh, you know, that reminds me of the pro Guitar Hero players that'd be playing like super stamina heavy maps, or I guess they're not called maps, but and they'd like stop halfway through the song just to stretch their fingers for a moment before going back in. You play Guitar Hero, right? You probably know about that.
Yeah, I wasn't that skilled in it, but I mean, I guess I kind of kept the mindset that I do now, where pausing feels awkward when you're playing a game like this.
Yeah.
I don't know, it almost feels like cheating in a game like that. In this game, it definitely feels like cheating, since stamina is probably one of the bigger components of the game, but regardless, It's just not something I really experienced too much of when I played the game.
A good thing is that you can't pause in a multiplayer lobby, so none of the players will have any chance to regain their stamina in the middle of a match.
Yes, this is true, but can also be devastating for certain players if their stamina isn't able to hold out.
We do have a fail coming after Tegom, I believe.
Yeah, I believe Evios might... Oh, Evios
no, his health bar is really high.
Failing, but yeah, he recovered it. Flashlight there.
Man, you can't even see your health on Flashlight, you can't see your judgment, unless you have a special scan, a lot of people do. But it's very impressive, I'd say, even at 86%, just passing this map.
Tegom does end up failing out right at the end. Evios very close to failing as well. But that is going to be the end of the second warm-up. Extremely stamina-draining choice. Maybe Australia just trying to poke at the United States, maybe give themselves more of a chance to, you know, take some accuracy points or just some, you know, points in general.
Yeah, maybe just flexing their muscles. Who knows, really?
And rolls come out. Evios rolls a 34, I believe, and Tegom rolls 48, meaning US wins that roll. Australia will get first ban, and then the United States will get second ban and first pick.
Let's see if we get another Phantasmagoria gum ban here, because I'm thinking that's going to be pretty common.
We got the Phantasmagoria ban. That was Australia's ban. We'll see what USA goes for. Looks like they're actually banning Agony, which is an LN-based map. So both of the main SV picks are open for this match.
Looks like the players put in their work. Learning the SCs, I mean. Looks like the US is taking a moment to confer about their first pick against Australia.
Yeah, I would almost expect a similar pick as China made against Canada, where they might just end up going for Spaceman. Just, you know, I think they feel a bit safer on stamina and speed. But looks like they are going for Kengan, the Great 3, an LN map. That's interesting.
So they ban one LN map, they go straight for the other one. It's interesting.
I'm interested to see why this is their pick. And why they would have banned Agony if they're going to just pick another LN map in the pool.
Well, you know, sometimes what happens is that just specific players have problems on specific maps. Maybe you mind block it, or it's a specific pattern they can't do. And it's not so much a matter of strategy, it's just that player doesn't want to play that map. And when your team is only 2 people, that's very reasonable. I can't imagine what in Agony was tripping up the US, but oh well. And we're getting into the first map of the round now.
Yeah, interesting to note is that Stupid Man, the captain of the US team, is actually playing on this LN chart. Something that we did in the group stage, where Stupid Man was actually subbed out for the LN choices in the pool. And if I recall correctly, he's not particularly strong at LNs for 7 key, so it's pretty interesting that he's staying in for this. I guess I'm just a bit confused about this whole process in general that the US is taking here. Though Sankansuki does find a break already, which is proving that the US made at least a good choice for this starting section.
That's right, the US is holding both the higher accuracies, have a pretty strong lead, quarter of the way through the map. I can't tell you what their strategy is, but whatever it is, it seems like they know what they're doing.
Yeah, both US players holding the full combo and above 99% accuracy, and right as I am saying that, Australia does have both of their players drop combo in this pretty weird release section. Though Stupid Man does also find a combo break, whereas Squishy is still holding onto a full combo and almost a 99% accuracy.
Squishy has always been a very strong long note player. And I just say that because I know him. But not surprised to see his good performance here.
Yeah, still have about a third of the map left, but if things keep going the way they have been, US is looking strong to take this first point.
Ooh,
that has to be tripped up Sankansuki.
Looks like they might have needed to practice this one a little bit more. Man, this map is just knowing which ones to hold down and which ones to release and when to release it, because it's not necessarily intuitive. It's really tricky.
Yeah, a real test of finger independence for a lot of these patterns. And Squishy showing some extreme comfort with LN patterns that require a lot of finger independence like these. Having the highest accuracy in the lobby as well as a full combo, helping bring the US to their first point in the match.
Next team to pick is Australia, and we'll see if they can manage to get a point off of this titan of a team.
Yeah, now here is one of two things. This is kind of similar to my statement about Canada and Canada versus China, where they're either going to go with an SV pick to hopefully, or to throw off the opposing team, hoping that they didn't put enough practice into it to, do well on it, or they're going to go with an accuracy pick that would give them the best chance of, out accuracying the other team.
Very, very fair. Very good prediction.
And Evios goes with Is This Love again. We're seeing it again.
There you go. Second time.
So we got some more SV coming in. Australia probably just hoping that the US isn't as prepared for this choice as Australia is. But it looks like there's some problems because Sankansuki seems to have not practiced this map.
Uh-oh. Yeah, this is not a map you want to be sight reading in a tournament setting. But looks like we are going ahead with Is This Love, right? Yep, we're playing.
Yep, we are playing this song.
And with Sankansuki on the first playthrough. Well, let's see what happens.
Interesting to me that Australia banned Phantasmagoria while having a player who didn't practice one of the SV.
Well,
so I guess it was just more of they didn't want to play Phantasmagoria more than they felt like it would be a risk to leave open both of the SV choices.
I guess that's just how much they don't want to play Phantasmagoria.
And I mean, I think we're going to be seeing that a lot throughout the entirety of this round. Just teams not wanting to play the map.
As we're getting to the SV section, Sankan is not doing terribly, but not doing great, I'd say.
Yeah, finding a lot of drops.
Oh, well,
finding some
getting
drops.
that 93% now. Well, that's kind of what happens when you play this map for the first time. It's just impossible to predict all the speed changes.
Yeah, Stupid Man and Duero doing a very solid job at this map. Duero almost holding above the 99, and Stupid Man was holding above the 99 just a minute ago, but did drop a lot of accuracy on one pattern, now around the mid-98s.
Let's see if they do better in the long note section of the map.
Definitely extremely high accuracy lead for the US right now.
That chord caught Sank off by surprise, though.
Oh, and Sankan's speed was almost high enough that he wouldn't be able to see the chord before it would hit his hit position, which can be problematic for something like this.
You know, one thing I noticed actually was that both the US players are using relatively slow speeds.
Yeah, I think what's pretty common on SV charts is to lower your scroll speed a lot of times because it gives you, well, more time to react to the SVs, but also lets you create visual cues for the SVs much easier, because with more notes on the screen, you can more easily differentiate different note patterns and sections of the map.
But US does take this point, the break point, with 2 full combos and a pretty definitive lead. And that is that. US is the next team to choose again for their 3rd point.
Ooh, and the US goes with Gum. We're not seeing it ignored.
Yeah, one SV pick to the other. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised with Sankansuki kind of admitting in the what's it called, the match chat, that he hasn't maybe prepared as much as he should. I think Gum is kind of an obvious pick here.
Yeah, given Australia's performance, even with Avios wanting to play it and still performing worse than both of the US players, I think this only has one possible result. Unless this was all like a massive bait.
Oh yeah,
but
just
the possibility of that is low.
I think Gum is one of those maps where even if you have played it a bunch of times and you know all the speed velocity changes, it's still hard because of the speed velocity changes. And I'm talking about the second half of the map because the speed changes there are actually very, it's very predictable. It's the same thing over and over: fast, slow. But just reading that, having to move your eyes up and down the screen to follow the pace of the map, that's just so hard.
Yeah, SV maps like this become less of knowing the SVs and more of being able to read different scroll speeds and being able to read when things change.
As far as being able to read when things change go, it seems like Australia is not doing also well at reading when speed changes.
Yeah, but US isn't doing too hot either, just they happen to be both of the US players are doing much better than the Australians are right now. Duero not even holding S rank right now, but neither of the Australians are holding A rank except Avios, who's climbing up right now. And there he is, back up in the A threshold. But Stupid Man definitely keeping the US far ahead of the Australians right now, almost at 97%.
Credit where credit is due. This map is a monster, especially for the round of 16. And it's not to discredit the players to say that they can't do well on this map, because who can?
Yeah, I don't... If this is the kinds of SVs we're going to be seeing in round of 16, I can only imagine how bad it's going to get in semifinals and finals.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, that's what keeps the tournament interesting, I think. If you want to see which team has the better accuracy or the better overall performance, you can just go on their profile and check their highest plays, right? But tournament setting here is where you can see breakout plays and different playing styles and all that sort of stuff. But enough rambling. United States coming out with the third point of the match, only 2 points left to win. It's not looking great for Australia.
That being said, it is Australia's next pick, and looks like they're going to be going with origami, which is what I would have expected them to pick for their first choice. But yeah, following my theory of the lower seeded teams usually going for either SV or accuracy based choices, just the possibility that the other team is bounds better than you.
I'm feeling pretty optimistic about this one, actually. It's kind of the first time we're going to be able to see the teams compete on accuracy.
I think there's definitely an opportunity for Australia to put up a major fight on this, especially if break on the side of the US, which on basically on any map is possible. Breaks happen sometimes. We've seen it before in all sorts of World Cups and tournaments.
Oh yeah. And even this tournament in the last round, the group stage, we had several upset wins actually. Two rounds going to tiebreaker. So, anything's possible. Go ahead and throw that one out there.
Slow Gen giving Australia a very slight. Not something I think the US will falter from too much, although Squishy's accuracy is a bit lower. Although, actually, to start off, the United States accuracy overall is noticeably lower than the Australian team.
Yeah, I pinned this as about a 3,000 point lead. Not a huge lead, but very promising.
But as accuracies on the US are climbing and a miss comes out from Avios on the Australian side, US is going to take that accuracy lead and the point lead.
Yeah, it looks like Evios was not able to keep up that strong performance at the beginning.
Seems to be having problems with the faster, denser patterns that we're seeing in this map. Or at least as we get further into this map, patterns just get faster and denser. So you'd expect if a player's having troubles with these kinds of patterns, they'll only continue to drop as the map goes on.
Yeah, it really is a lot of the same thing, and by thing I mean stairs.
Coming into the end of this chorus, both of the US players holding above 99%, with only one of the Australian players with 99%, and both of them, the Australians, not having the full combo. And that will be a 4th point going to the United States, again on their own pick, similar to China's situation where it is 4-0, and they get the choice of whatever they want to play.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't know what I'd predict for the US to pick. I mean, they went for an LN choice and then an SV pick.
I mean, I'd say that they're kind of free to choose whatever at this point because they have such a lead that they're kind of have a lot of safety on them.
And they move into their pick being 357 Magnum.
All right. Another accuracy pick.
Yeah, similar to Origami, just slower, more chord-based, a bit denser in general, but no big deal. I'd expect similar performances to Origami, maybe a bit higher accuracy in general just because of the speed. But we should be getting into this 5th map in this match, and here we go. Possible last map of this match. If Australia
That's
doesn't
right.
want this to be the last map, they're going to have to show off some really good accuracy to fend off the United States here on their own pick.
I mean, yeah, I'd say they still have a chance at taking a point off of the U.S. because the U.S. did pick a pretty friendly pick overall. You know, one of the more vanilla picks.
Yeah, I think something that I should note here is that I don't necessarily agree with this choice from the U.S. just fully based on the fact that it's an act-based map, which, as I've already discussed, is usually a lot better of a pick for a team that is, you know, lower in overall skill. In this case, would have probably been a better choice for Australia to make rather than the United States. But either way, the U.S. does hold an extremely high accuracy, edging out the Australian team right now by about 10,000 points. But that's not that much, given that everyone's on full combo. One break could mean everything here.
For sure. But it looks like the accuracies are only climbing. And what can you say? The U.S. is a very strong team. And I'm not just saying that because I'm from the U.S.
And right there, Avios does find a combo break, giving the U.S. even more breathing room for this map.
Yep, all that's left is for them to finish it out.
And another break there from Australia will likely seal the deal, I think, unless something catastrophic happens to the U.S.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. About disconnects can always happen.
Yeah, just don't. You never want to mention the disconnect.
Yeah.
Just don't want to be that guy that curses someone into disconnecting.
But nope, it looks like all the U.S. players and all the Australia players are going to finish the map with the lead in the favor of the United States. Another 5-0 victory today in the round of 16.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is necessarily unexpected. Top seeds definitely have shown to have at least somewhat of an advantage over the mid and low seeds, and especially in this case with, I guess we didn't mention this before, but I'm pretty sure Australia is missing 2 players right now, so they're a weakened Australian team.
Oh, yeah.
So the United States already had at least a bit of an advantage because of that, and being a higher seeded team, it was almost expected for them to perform very well against this team.
I think they put up a good shot. Sorry, what am I saying? A good show. Yep, they did their best.
Yeah, but with that,
as far as the brackets going, what am I trying to say? Australia will be moving down to the losers bracket, play against the loser of Malaysia versus Germany, while United States moves on to play the winner of Malaysia versus Germany in the quarterfinals.
Yep, so neither of these teams are knocked out quite yet. They will, Australia will have a chance to make it back in the losers bracket, similar to how Canada also has a chance to bring it back in the losers bracket. But with that, that is actually the end of this block of matches. It was just those two. We will be back for more streaming and more matches at 10 o'clock UTC, where we'll be seeing Malaysia versus Singapore, followed by Malaysia versus Germany and South Korea versus Italy, as well as the other matches that will be happening this weekend.
Some of these are going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, tune back in about 5 hours or so.
And before we sign off, I do want to remind you again that the banners are for sale. So go ahead and support your team, support the tournament by putting a banner on your profile. And if you choose the winning team, like I said before, it will stay on your profile for longer than anyone else's. Joined by Nivrad, and that we will see you hopefully at 10 o'clock UTC for the next block of 7 key round of 16 matches.